Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to KHM Today, your weekly resource for industry news and straight up fun. I am your host, Carolyn Orff, and today is February 14th, 2024. It is Valentine's Day, everyone. Fat Tuesday was yesterday. Lent is starting. It's a whole bunch of celebrations all in one. You will notice that I'm not in my typical location today. I am actually coming to you live from Villa Premier Boutique Hotel in Puerto Vallarta. And we decided to we needed a little sun and fun for a few days. And so I decided to work from here. Although out the back window there, you'll see that it's not so sunny this week. It's still fairly warm, which is nice, but it hasn't been all that sunny. But it's made for a perfect work environment by the pool because I'm not fighting a glare. Anyways, we have a great show in store for you today as we celebrate all sorts of things. Do I have anything I want to share with you before then? I think we're in good shape. Be watching the travel news. There's a lot of exciting things going on with different cruise lines and the airlines and all sorts of stuff. So make sure you're popping into your favorite periodicals. All right, you guys, without further ado, there are many things to love about this industry, but one of them is most definitely Virgin Voyages. Please welcome to the show, Kristy Woolums, Director of National Accounts. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Carolyn?
I am doing great. I just want to make sure that everyone sees on the left-hand side. We'd love to see your comments and see how you're doing today. Gina, it's great to see you as always. Feel free to throw any questions you have in there as well for Kristy, and we'll try to address them here as well. Hi, Tony. Great to see you. She says, you never take me anywhere nice. That's true, Tony. Next time, Tony, I promise you.
Tony's due.
Well, she's due for a good trip. I love it. Well, we're so excited to have Virgin Voyages here today. You guys have just really, I think, surprised so many people the last several years that these ships have been sailing. So in honor of Valentine's Day, what can we expect from you guys as far as the environment this week on board ships? What are you doing? Anything special?
Yeah, of course. So it's funny when you reached out to me about this segment being on Valentine's Day, we jumped at it because Valentine's Day for Virgin Voyages is actually a really monumental day for us. So a lot of people don't realize this, but going back to 2019, Valentine's Day of that year was when we first went on sale. So 2019, February 14th was the first day you could book a Virgin Voyage. And then fast forward to Valentine's Day of 2020, that was when we took ownership of our very first ship, Scarlet Lady. I know, so there's a theme here. 2021 we skipped for reasons that everyone knows, but 2022 we came back, and Valentine's Day of that year was when we officially opened Terminal V, which was our new port at Port Miami. So every year we seem to do a little something special around the day.
It sounds like it started off as just kind of a thing, but now it looks intentional now. Like
Yes.
now we next year we'll be looking towards what's coming next.
I know. It's always, if you have to take a guess at when some big news is coming out, Valentine's Day is always a safe bet. But yeah, of course, now that we're sailing and we can do fun activations on board the ships, that's definitely what we're doing. I'm actually really jealous of everyone that's on board this week because across the entire fleet, we're taking it back to elementary school and we're doing cabin drops for all of our sailors. Yep.
Oh.
They're all going to get a sweet little card from our crew along with some sweet treats for them because, of course, everyone wants a Valentine.
I feel like someone might have posted a picture of that today.
Probably, and I'm dying to see it because I know they always do a good job with it. So I can't wait to see your pictures. But in addition to that, throughout all of our full service restaurants, we've got some extra Valentine's Day specials that will be available through the food menus for sailors. So a little nod to Valentine's Day there. In our social club and the galley, you'll see some Valentine's Day themed sweet treats. And then we also have our Love in the Clouds cocktail, which is a specialty cocktail that sailors can enjoy throughout the voyage in honor of Valentine's Day.
And it sounds like it doesn't matter. And I think this is what people really do love about the line in general. You can be with someone or without someone, and it doesn't matter.
100%.
It's a very inclusive environment. You're not going to feel awkward or weird or anything on this day. It just is really for everyone.
It is. And that's something for us when it comes to solo travel, we do very, very well. We are such a social ship that anyone can come, whether you're traveling with a big group or by yourself. You can be as involved or uninvolved as you want to be. For solos, especially, we've got solo cabins on board our ship that don't penalize you for traveling as a solo. Where typically on a cruise line, you have to pay double percent occupancy, and you're like, what the heck? That's not fair.
Right.
So for us, you can book a solo cabin for one person, price for one person. And then we do a lot of solo meetups as well. So you'll get communications throughout your voyage saying, hey, if you want to come join us, we're all going to meet here in this bar and do these fun activations. So we make it easy for you to meet maybe other solo travelers or people looking to make friends on the ship. And then all of our restaurants and our venues are just so inviting and social that you can go sit at a communal table anywhere on board and, start talking to someone, maybe make a friend to sail with next time, whatever you're looking for. It's totally up to you.
I know that we've had agents that have done this solo, and this like makes my heart race a little bit, like thinking, oh gosh, I'd have to be super social in order to have a good time. But it almost sounds like you do you.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
You can either be that person and go out and meet people, but if you don't, that's okay too. There's ways for you to enjoy.
Totally. Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah, whether it's relaxing, reading a book, going to the spa, self-care, focusing on yourself, that's totally fine. So it's all about the balance. And what I love about Virgin Voyages is two sailors can come on board and tell a very different story of what their experience was based on what they choose to do.
Well, and I like to think that's the way someone would think about every vacation, right? You take away from it what you want, but I think it's a really special line. So speaking of that, what does it feel like when you've been working so hard to cement a brand and a place in a competitive environment, and you just see the wow factor, right? You see agents loving the product. You see them wanting to sell the product. We were just talking before we went live about the top 100 sailing that happened early January. Those are those agents that are really, just selling the product gangbusters. So what does that feel like after all this time and the hard work? Is it just, it's got to just feel amazing.
It does. And I think for so long, there's so much prep that went into launching the brand and again getting delayed for over a year and all of that. Now really seeing real life sailors come on board our ship, fall in love with the product, and more importantly rebook to come back again is something that is just incredible. We are really focused on building our brand's loyalty, and loyalty is important. People want to know that when they choose to travel, they're being appreciated for picking you amongst a lot of other brands out there. So all of last year, we had loyalty match programs in place where, we'd match your status if you were coming from another line to encourage you to give us a shot. But what we'd love to see, and this is a lot through our advisor network, is our advisors are finding the right clients for our product, and our rebooking rates are close to 50%. Which means 50% of the sailors that come on board the ship leave that sailing already putting down a deposit for their next cruise, which is just, for being such a new brand, pretty unheard of to have stats that high. So it's really just a testament to, one, how great the product is, and two, just the vast difference in itineraries that we have available, that people come on maybe out of Miami to start 4 and 5 nights, and then say, you know what, next time I do this, I'm hitting the bucket list itinerary and I want to be on for 7 nights or longer.
Right. And I think that 4 and 5 days is a sweet spot, especially from the US. A lot of times when you think about the 7-day itineraries, I love them. But when you're looking at needing to fly in the night before, so you've got that extension, and then, the 7 days, a lot of people don't have that time. And we don't always see those 4 or 5 day itineraries with other lines on great ships.
Yeah.
And so you're getting that really great ship with an itinerary that works for your time frame, and you're not having to sacrifice anything, which I think is a huge draw for people.
You must have been part of those pre-launch conversations because that is exactly the mindset when we came out knowing
Yeah.
our first ship would do 4 and 5 night sailings. In the US, we also just have very limited vacation. So,
Yes.
and selfish plug, Virgin Voyages is adults only. So you got to find someone to watch your kiddos.
Right.
4 and 5 nights to watch the kids is a little bit of an easier ask than, hey, I'm going to be gone for 14 nights. Can you watch my kids? So
Exactly.
yes,
Exactly.
it's definitely
Well,
more
we're
approachable.
getting lots of comments here. Tony was on the 7th voyage of the Scarlet.
Nice.
Um, the food alone is the reason to keep coming
Yes.
back. And Lori's got couples that just returned and they loved it. I mean, this is just, I'm not going to say amazing because that sounds like it's shocking that this has worked. It's just really fantastic. It's hard work that kind of ran into a bunch of obstacles, and it's a bigger and better, stronger product, I think, because of it.
Yes. And it's so fun for us because we've really become the celebratory ship. And we're hearing it over and over. And we're seeing it from a group side as
Yeah.
well, that the majority of our groups are coming and they're celebrating something, whether it's a 40th, 50th, 60th birthday, these milestone anniversaries, bachelorette trips. It's really great to see people getting their crew of loved ones together, coming and doing something different. And of course, on board, we've got, great options like Splash for Your Bash that you can add on to really enhance that celebration, and just really put a Virgin twist on it and do something that no one's done before.
I love it. All right. So, what do we have to look forward to in 2024?
Yes. So there's some great things coming this year, some of which I can't talk about just yet, but I have to, tease you somehow. But you will expect to see some new itineraries coming out this year. So especially, I think, over the next couple of months, you'll start to see some of that further deployment into 2025 be released. We are constantly looking at where our ships are. And I think the beauty of cruising is the fact that ships can go anywhere. So we're not stuck to
Yeah.
one location. So we're constantly looking at seasonality, where our sailors want to go. We've recently introduced some new itineraries, including sailings to Reykjavik that have been extremely popular. So yes, you can expect to see more sailings coming. And then going back to what we talked about earlier, you will see more updates regarding our loyalty program come out this year. So we're really looking to launch a simplified version of our loyalty program that still, represents all the things you're looking for when trying to be a loyal client to a brand. So those are all really great things. And I think a step in the right direction as a brand that now we're kind of moving out of that launch phase into how do we continue to grow and blossom as a company.
Love it. And attract
Exactly.
new and returning guests. I think that's amazing.
Definitely.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being here and helping us celebrate on this very special day. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
It was a pleasure. Thanks, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. All right, you guys. So there is a new podcast out there, and it is called Travel Stories Unpacked, hosted by our own Ashley Newton, who's part of our video team at KHM Travel Group. She had another one of our team members from the marketing department on, Melissa Rice, and they chatted about staying healthy while traveling, which is something we all struggle with. So please welcome them both to KHM Today. Hi, guys. How are you today?
Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Melissa. Thanks for having us on the show. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, so Ashley, let's start with this podcast because I have watched different pieces of it, and it is a very different take on travel, and it's a lot of laughs. So where did this idea come from, and what's happening there?
Yeah, well, Carolyn, I've been working in the travel industry with KHM Travel for, can you believe it's going to be, I think, 7 years this summer?
Wow.
I know. It's like, oh, goodness, time really does fly when you're having fun. But I, in that time, have been so privileged to meet all of these people from different areas in travel, from travelers, when you're out there, to travel agents, to all these incredible people within the industry. And what has been so entertaining to me is hearing their stories and their firsthand experiences. And then, of course, all of the opinions that sort of come along with that. And I just wanted to showcase that and give a platform that isn't, KHM Today is so great because it's educational. It's on the ground giving the travel agents what they need to run their business. I just wanted to provide some entertainment, just straight up good time to help, continue to build this community that we have of all of our wonderful agents and, all of their clients even, and get people excited about travel.
Well, and laughing about travel too, right? I mean, even as frustrating as it can be, I don't know anyone who doesn't have a frustrating story that ultimately turns it around. And it's like, it's the one they tell at Thanksgiving, it's the one they tell at Christmas, and everyone's laughing about it now. In the moment, probably a little frustrating, but I feel like that's what I've kind of gotten is that, yeah, in the moment, it probably wasn't the best. But how can we laugh at ourselves and at the situations that we find ourselves in when it comes to travel? So Melissa, you joined Ashley for an episode. Actually, it ended up being 2 episodes talking about staying healthy. So first of all, what was your experience like being a guest on this podcast? Which it's not just talking, right? You're videoing it at the same time.
It is, but I tried not to think about the video part and tried to think of it as just having like a fun conversation like I would if Ashley and I were, sitting and chatting and having coffee or something, to keep it more natural because, we tend to like freeze and get kind of weird,
right?
When the camera's on. And I had a lot of fun. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, how it would go. But it just turned, I love telling stories. I love travel, and it just turns into a very natural conversation. And yeah, like you said, we ended up talking so long and having these stories that it ended up turning into 2 episodes instead of 1. And we couldn't even believe how fast the time had gone by. So it was a really great experience.
So what are some of the things that you, that are kind of your top things when you think about staying healthy while traveling? Is there something you do pre-travel to get yourself prepped for this?
So if we're talking from the standpoint of like trying not to get sick while traveling and trying to feel good, then yeah, there's a few things ahead of time. If there's a trip that's going to be a lot of walking, and we've done this with our kids since they were little, is making sure that we're pretty active leading up to that, because you don't want, an hour into the Disney trip, everybody's legs are killing them, or, you planned this fun hike and, it just makes it miserable. So just being in general active, breaking in shoes, don't bring brand new shoes when you're traveling. But also paying a little bit extra attention to just basic things like trying to get a little bit of extra sleep, hydration, water, adding, we tend to add a few like vitamins, so a little bit of extra vitamin C. There's differing opinions on whether that works or not, but for us, it just seems to kind of help, because as soon as you start traveling, you're off your regular routine and you're not eating the same foods. You're probably not sleeping as well as you do at home. And so just doing your best to get at least a good start to the trip and be in a good place before you head out.
One of the things I will share that I have started to do, because obviously I travel a lot from Denver to Cleveland for events, and it's very natural for me once I'm in a hotel room to and you're talking 2-hour time difference, so forward, is to stay up late watching TV. And I don't know why that's different than being home, but I have now gotten into a pattern where I physically turn it off at 10 Eastern time and shut it down, because otherwise it's midnight and, I'm not training my body, but I find I've had to, even with simple trips like that, right? It's not even a vacation. I have to think about this like I am at home. Otherwise, I find myself exhausted. By the 3rd day, I'm run down, and it's not good for anyone.
Yeah.
So,
and then once you get run down and now you're maybe exposed to bigger groups of people, you're kind of more susceptible to any viruses or bugs that are going around you. So it's like whatever you can do to feel good, stay on your regular routine, and keep your immune system functioning at its best, then those things are good. Another thing for us is I always think ahead as far as food and snacks. Hanger is a very real problem for me. But also even just, you can only eat so much food on the go before you don't feel that great. And also my son has food allergies. So even some of that pre-travel prep is, do we have at least a few healthier things with us, or what if the flight's delayed, and, like those kinds of things too.
Yes. Ashley, what did you learn from Melissa as far as her prep goes?
Oh my goodness. So much. like what I really appreciated was sort of the insider insights that she shared in part 1 of our Staying Healthy episode. And I don't want to spoil it too much, but let's just say I made sure that I renewed my Clorox wipes and my Purell before my flight for the Crystal Conference so that I can feel safe and sanitary in all my travels.
Yes. And I think I shared with you the other day, Melissa, I got on the plane to come down to Puerto Vallarta, and my husband does not like the smell of the wipes. And that's the first thing he said as I was wiping things down. He was like, I hate that smell. I hate that smell. And I said, he's like, you don't have to worry about it. They clean the planes in between. And I was like, let me share with you a little something that I learned from a podcast.
And
they could have just straightened the seatbelt. I don't want to risk it. So I wiped everything down.
It's not to throw any airline employees, cleaners under the bus. They work very hard, but it is simply sometimes a matter of the time that they have.
Absolutely.
Or, what they have at their disposal. So there's only so much they can do. So
exactly. Because we just want to get on the plane, right? We don't want to be delayed either. So I totally get it. But I was like, I've got time. Let me just wipe down. So I appreciated that insight because that is something that I didn't know and was clued into. What are some things that you both do during travel? Do you do specific things? I want to say that's when I let it all loose and like forget stuff. Sometimes I'm forgetting to take medicines or whatever. It's like I tend to throw everything out the window. But what are some things that you do during your trips to stay in good shape?
Well, for me, it's very dependent on what the trip is and what I'm doing, and we get into all that. But number one, always hydration is so important for me. So not only am I drinking a ton of water, but I'm also watching the sort of things that naturally dehydrate you that you might not think about. And I always travel with those Gatorade packets. I've shared that on the show before, but everybody's very into like liquid IV. I just cannot stand the taste of that. And I find that the like Gatorade Zeros, they just taste delicious. So I'm more likely to actually use that. And then, just staying active, even if I'm not a hit the gym person, but I will be like, let's actually swim. Let's go for a walk. Let's just move and be active. And then of course, simple things like food choices while still allowing yourself to indulge, but sort of making sure you're not forgetting about your other food groups along the way.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
Yeah, pretty similar to Ashley. Like there's a balance between you, if you're on vacation, you want to indulge a little bit, but knowing where that line is, because you can only do so much of that before you start to not feel very good. So trying to plan some healthier meals or things that I know, make me feel pretty good, staying active, trying to let go a little bit of the, I have to do this workout or, it doesn't have to be that rigid, but just knowing that moving feels good, especially after you've been sitting on a plane or in an airport for a long time. And looking for ways to do that, stay active, but do it like while you're make it fun. So a walking tour of the city where you are, or, an excursion that's hiking. We did glacier trekking in Alaska. That was awesome. So it's just, kind of incorporating that into the trip so that when you get home, and also keeping with somewhat of a regular routine. And when you mentioned the vitamins, I have my travel vitamin pack like by day, because I want to stay in as many regular routines as I can. So when I get home, the transition isn't quite so like jarring back to reality.
Well, and Melissa, when you mentioned, just movement in general, that reminds me something that we didn't actually mention in the podcast. So this is a KHM Today exclusive, but like stretching is so important. Like you're going to be cramped on travel days, so like that is something that I always like start with about a month before I know I'm going to be moving, is like, okay, have you been doing even just basic little quick yoga routines or something like that, waking your body up? Like, can you touch your toes? If you cannot, I'm going to challenge you to get there. You can get there.
Yes. Yes. Well, and the other things, we say this when we talk about going on FAMs, right? I love to send emails that say to agents that are going, are you getting yourself ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Are you walking every day? Are you moving? Because this is a lot of walking and steps and all sorts of stuff that you have to consider. And, if you're not moving regularly, and I'm not saying you have to walk 10 miles every day, but if you're not moving regularly, this is not going to be fun for you on any level. The other thing that I really think, and I feel like maybe it's gone away, is there used to be a lady on the TVs on the airplane that would do seat stretching.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you could watch, which is so important when you're on long hauls to do some sort of seat stretch. For people who have swelling issues or things like that, but anyone should be, getting up and moving and just moving their legs a little bit to get that blood flowing. Ash is like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No.
Be a little lady. Yeah.
My marketing brain is spinning, and I'm like, should we make a video if they don't show it anymore? Like, can we fill this gap?
You can fill the gap. Yep, absolutely. And I will say, I think a lot of problems that people have while traveling and illnesses absolutely could be prevented by the correct hydration. Absolutely. I mean, I'm coming from a place that we sit generally at 5280. That's a lot higher than a lot of other cities. So you come to Denver and you just get off that airplane, and a lot of people will initially get sick. And as you go further up, if you're coming to ski, it's even harder on you. So, we are constantly hydrating ourselves, and just because you live here doesn't mean it doesn't affect you. Mm-hmm. You constantly have to be sucking down the water. So yeah, I just love it. What else did you kind of learn from each other before I let you both go? Was there something that you were like, that's interesting?
I don't know, Ashley, was there something interesting?
Honestly, I mean, I enjoyed the whole conversation so much, and I feel like I learn every single episode. So I don't want to give it all away. Go watch it. Can I tell people, Carolyn, where they can find the show?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you are watching KHM Today on our YouTube channel, then the good news is you're already halfway there. Travel Stories Unpacked is right on KHM Travel Group's YouTube channel as well. So you can just go to our homepage and scroll down and you'll find it, or find it under the podcast tab or the playlist tab. But we're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Amazon Music. So there's a ton of different ways to find us. And we have new episodes every Friday morning. They're at like 6 a.m. So I'm really trying to give you guys a fun way to start your weekend with us. Listen to us on your commute, or while you're getting ready, or while you're exercising, whatever your vibe is.
Yep.
Yes, it's my gym jam. I have started listening to podcasts because I'm tired of music. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm just cruising on the treadmill or the elliptical or on the bike, I'll throw in a podcast, and you got to be entertaining.
Yep. And
I don't necessarily have to learn anything. I just need to be entertained.
I'm with you, Carolyn. On some longer runs, I would get tired of music, but there was something about, like, especially telling stories, some kind of story, it keeps you going longer than maybe the music does. And I would love it if we had like comments and feedback on our podcast too. So if you have suggestions, ideas we didn't mention, if we have questions, like, it's awesome when people can post their comments and questions, and we love to hear more. And that way, Ashley has more ideas for chats in the future.
Yeah. Yep. Melissa, have you ever been listening to one at the gym or on a run and you laugh out loud?
Oh yes, absolutely. I probably look like a crazy person.
Yeah, the whole gym looks at you and they're like, what's going on? Like, yeah.
Carolyn,
I've had that as well.
Carolyn, I'm not a gym goer anymore because I impulsively bought an elliptical off Amazon. But before, I also don't really listen to music. I like watching TV while I work out, specifically sitcoms, which, again, tying back into the health thing, you got to find what works for you. What are you actually going to do? What makes you happy? I like the extra endorphins of a comedy while I'm working out. But when I used to go to the gym, I would laugh out loud, completely forget where I was. And it was so embarrassing. Yeah. So, yeah.
That, I feel like, would be another show. Like, where have you laughed out loud? And on an airplane, I've sobbed. I have laughed hysterically to the point of sobbing, that my kids are usually like, what is she turning on? So that we're prepared to pretend like she's not our mother, because they get embarrassed because I'm always doing something that is emotionally stretched and embarrassing to them. So there you go.
That's one of many stories, but we have to get you on the podcast on Travel Stories Unpacked, because I know that there is a lot to unpack.
There absolutely is. I have a very dry sense of humor. I am not afraid to laugh at myself, even in hindsight, but usually 90% of what I do is laughable and usually a little dumb, and I'm okay with it. It works for me.
I think Ashley just said you have a lot of baggage, Carolyn.
I think that's what she said, right? Yeah.
But anyway, no, that'd be great.
I was just gonna say a lot of experience, a lot of fun stories. I mean, you know, you're in travel, you're traveling right now.
I am traveling right now, and I'm sure by the time I get home, there will be a dozen stories that just made me crack up along the way. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being here today and helping me celebrate KHM Today just in general. But I appreciate you both so much. And if you haven't listened to Travel Stories Unpacked, make sure you do. Like and subscribe. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So oh, look, there's the background goes. I love it. That's my favorite thing. I do love when the backgrounds go like that. But please, this is such a fun concept, and it's a lot of entertainment. So make sure you tune in for more episodes with Ashley and Melissa. Thank you so much for being here for the first time ever.
Thank you for having us, Carolyn. Safe travels. Stay healthy.
Thank you. And I will see you, Ashley, in just a few weeks.
Yes, can't wait. Thank you again, Carolyn, for having us on. I always love coming on the show.
So fun. All right, you guys, take care. You guys, thanks for joining us today. Oh, what fun. Thank you to our sponsors. Apple Leisure Group is our main sponsor, of course, for the last 3 years. And join me next week where we will be joined by the president of Vacation Express, Renee Jeanmans, and the Association of Black Travel Professionals, where we will discuss the best ways to recognize and celebrate Black History Month. So I look forward to seeing you all back here next week. Have a great week, everyone.